Hello and welcome to the Jeffco Virtual Academy Enrollment Meeting. All of you are in this meeting because you are applying to be full-time students at Jeffco Virtual Academy. This meeting takes about half an hour. Please be sure to watch this entire recording. And at the end, there is an attendance form that you'll be completing to verify your attendance today. All right, let's get started. First, you'll see a picture of our graduates from last year. We graduate at School of Mines every year. We are at Jeffco Public School. We have a graduation ceremony. We graduate anywhere from 100 to 120 seniors every year with a Jeffco diploma. So if that's something that's in your future and you want to graduate with JVA, you can do that. So why are you here? Other than being told you had to be here for this, we're going to talk about organization, attendance, the support team, and then some events and opportunities as part of this meeting. Please know this meeting is not student orientation. Your student will be in orientation with their teachers in classes. This is just the big picture. We learned over the years, our school's been around since 2008, and we learned from the beginning that we really needed to make sure that families knew what our school did and what the differences were with other schools and other programs, sort of what you were getting into as a student at Jeffco Virtual Academy. Okay. So we work hard to prepare students for lifelong learning and continual growth. We try to use creative and rigorous pathways. We always have. We recognized back in 2008 that online learning was not just the future, it was kind of the present back then, but it's definitely the present now, that most of us haven't been involved in some kind of online learning. So our school really works hard to craft really creative and positive learning experiences in this online environment. All right, this slide really is the focus of a big chunk of this enrollment meeting, because this is about organization, teamwork, trustworthiness, engagement, responsibility. Yes, our mascot, the word otter, right? Organization. So creating a schedule. As an asynchronous online school, students don't log in all at the same time for each class. That's maybe what they did during the pandemic remote learning. Our school has never functioned that way. There is a program in Jeffco called the Jeffco Remote Learning Program that does function as a synchronous online school, where they log in all together for Algebra 1 at 9 o'clock or English 9 at 10 o'clock. We're asynchronous. So that means you work anytime, day or night, when you want to each week. So that's why the first bullet point under organization is create your schedule. What are you going to do each day? We know after years of working with students, and I know as 6 years as principal, talking to families and students who have had success with us, one of those key success factors is the student followed a schedule. Now, you can be flexible. You can adjust your schedule. You have 5 days of schoolwork in a folder in Schoology, our program online. You have 5 days of schoolwork each week to complete. You have 7 days to do that because the weekend counts. We don't turn the courses off on the weekends or holidays. They're available. Like Labor Day is coming up, for example, when I'm recording this meeting. The classes are available on Labor Day, but there's nothing due that day, but you could work on that day when the district is not in session. So creating a schedule for yourself, we say about an hour a day in every class is what you need to do. Do you have to do that? No. Do some students spend more? Sure, some spend less. It depends on what subject, what day, what the assignment is. Your teachers in their classes will give you a suggested pacing guide for each day. They'll tell you, do this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, but you don't have to follow that. It's suggested to help you stay paced with the course, okay? So creating a schedule, and you'll learn some of that in orientation and some example schedules that students have used over the years, but ultimately it will depend on what works best for you. If you're an early morning person, start early in the morning. If you rather work later in the day or work on the weekends or whatever that looks like for you. But being consistent is really important. You don't want to do all 5 days of your math on Monday and all 5 days of English on Tuesday. It doesn't really work that way. Your brain doesn't learn best that way. Think about anything that's challenging to learn. Look at the marching band or the football team or the basketball team. They don't practice 1 day a week for 10 hours and then do nothing for 5 other days. Typically, they practice 2 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week, right? So think about every class 4, 5, 6 days a week, at least 5 days a week. But some students might do it in 4, but try to think about every day of the week doing schoolwork. Teamwork is asking for help. That can be a challenge in an online school because if I'm your teacher, I can't see your face in my classroom, right? And we're not synchronous. We're not in a web meeting all together every day. So I don't see your face every day and you don't see mine. So asking for help is texting your teacher, calling your teacher, emailing your teacher. You can schedule meetings with your teacher. You can do video meetings like this meeting I'm recording right now. You can do a video meeting with your teacher. Just request it. They have a link, click on it, fill out a request to have a meeting with you. So you can do a synchronous meeting with your teachers. We just don't have everyone scheduled to do those because not everybody needs to do those or wants to do those. Responding to messages is really important for all of us, students, teachers, counselors, parents, guardians, everybody. We need to communicate with each other. So when you get a message from your teacher or your counselor or me or anyone in the school, you want to reply to it as soon as possible. Our teachers rules 24 hours after they do the message, no longer than 24 hours. Most of the time it's going to be faster than that. On weekends, of course, there's no one necessarily working. So if you text your teacher at 9 o'clock on Saturday night, you're not going to hear back probably until Monday from that teacher, right? And that's normal because it's a weekend. But you still could send the message if you wanted to, but you may not hear anything back until the next school day. Trustworthiness is following the code of conduct. We are a Jeffco public school. We follow the same code of conduct that every other school in Jeffco. You sign off as a student and a parent guardian on the rules for our district. We don't have a lot of issues with behavior, but we follow all the same rules. Some of the biggest challenges are probably around using your own thoughts and words, like plagiarism, copying and pasting, using Chat GPT or AI to do things for you. We do have software that monitors those things, and we do check for those. And we want you to actually be learning and doing your own work. So that's probably one of our biggest challenges in an online school, because it can be really easy just to copy and paste something from a website. And if you're not sure if you're allowed to copy or paste, ask the teacher. What's the assignment? Am I supposed to just find the answer, or am I supposed to be creating something original? Right? There's a difference there. So just talk to your teacher about their expectations. And of course, completing assignments by the due date is really important. We do have due dates every week in our school. It's not totally flexible. If you're looking for a school that lets you just be flexible anytime you want to, we're not the school for that. We pace it every week. So at the end of each week, you have assignments that are due. Okay, so you want to make sure you complete those on time. Engagement, reading updates. Every one of our courses, when you click on the course in Schoology, it'll start you on a page called Updates. And updates, teachers use that to put that suggested pacing guide for the week. They have announcements, things that are happening in their class this week. Most of them have a welcome video for the week where they're going to tell you about the week's lessons or activities, things that are happening. I've seen lessons where a teacher might work out some math problems on a quick video. Hey, here's what we're doing this week in this class. Watch out for these challenges. And they might show you what's coming up and how to prepare for that. So you definitely want to stay engaged by watching those videos, all videos from your teacher, or any videos that they provide for you and resources they provide for you in your classes. And then I spend necessary amount of time in class. So I said an hour a day in each class, but obviously everyone is different, like I said. So really, we want you to be successful. So whatever it takes you to be successful. The good thing in our school is you can watch the videos from your teacher 6 or 7 times if you want to. You don't have to worry about watching a video more times and slowing the class down or raising your hand or something. You can just keep watching the video, taking notes till you got it figured out. And the opposite of that would be, if you got it the first time, you can move on. You don't have to wait for the class to catch up with you. So our school does allow you to be flexible. It'll be different for each person on different lessons, but you can spend the time you need to learn your material. Responsibility, the last one of these under Otter, is know and understand Schoology. We're going to teach you how to use Schoology. It's our program. It's sort of our digital school. It's pretty easy to use, but we will teach you to use it. You're going to follow through, turn things in. And then lastly, everyone here is going to read the Otter News. That's our newsletter. It comes out each week. It's like our announcements in our school. And we have it broken down by program. We have high school students, middle school students. We have part-time middle school, part-time high school, credit recovery, a program called TAG. We have all kinds of things happening in our school. So our Otter News breaks it down into those programs. So if you're a full-time high school student, you go to the high school section and read about that. Go to the counseling section, read notes from your counselor. Make sure that you look at that every week and you read and interact with that material. That's one of the best ways how we get information out to all of our families and students. Again, a couple of quick basics I mentioned as I was talking. We follow Jeffco's curriculum, Jeffco's credits. We're Jeffco staff members. Good thing for families to know, we follow the Jeffco family calendar. So if the district has a day off, we're off. Again, we don't turn the courses off, but the staff's not working. Students, you're not expected to work on those off days like Labor Day, for example, or fall break or Thanksgiving break, spring break. But you could if you wanted to. We do have students who sometimes work with their teachers to do makeup work on some of those off days, but you definitely don't have to do anything on those days at all. Same thing applies to a snow day. If Jeffco cancels school for a snow day or a weather day or any other reason, our school's canceled too. But again, the courses aren't turned off. You can still work, but no one in the school is working that day, and neither are you expected to work on that day. Again, we're asynchronous, but we do have synchronous support. Like I said, you can do live web meetings like this. A phone call is asynchronous support, right? Texting is relatively synchronous. You're texting back and forth with your teacher, kind of in real time, maybe. Or you can also come to campus in person. We have opportunities each week for that. I'll talk about in a little bit to do that. We have no transportation if you want to come in person to us, but we do have a building, and I'll talk about that in a minute. School supplies. Everybody in Jeffco has a one-to-one device. Parents, guardians, you're paying $50 a year for that device. It's a Chromebook in our school. If you're coming to us from another Jeffco school, that Chromebook from that school should come with you to our school. If they want their Chromebook back, they can have it back. We'll give you one of ours. Just call us and we'll get you one of our Chromebooks, because you are paying for that one-to-one device to be used in Jeffco. And if you're new to Jeffco, you'll also get a device from us. As soon as you get enrolled, we'll contact you about picking up a device from us. You do need probably access to a printer if possible. It's nice to be able to print out worksheets and assignments and take notes and write on them. For example, maybe like a graphing assignment in a math class where it's easier to graph on paper, take a picture of it with your phone and submit that for your assignment to your teacher. You could do that. Most of you have a smartphone that's like a scanner and a camera built in, right? You don't really have to have a scanner in your house or technically a separate digital camera. But just so you know, some kind of a way to capture images and be able to send them is a nice feature. And oftentimes it can be required depending on the assignment. You can use your own Windows machine, your own Mac, your own Chromebook if you had one, but you are basically paying to have one from the district. So you'll get one from us for sure, but you could choose to use your own personal device. That's totally fine. You really do need to have internet, obviously. That's the key thing, dependable internet. And anywhere you have dependable internet, you can do our schoolwork. So you could go to Starbucks, you could go to McDonald's. I mean, almost everybody has Wi-Fi these days. So you could go anywhere you have a good connection to actually do schoolwork. If you do leave the state or the country, you'd want to let us know ahead of time, because the district sometimes blocks outside of the state and definitely outside of the country IP addresses. So you might not be able to get to your materials. You need to use a VPN, a virtual private network, and we can help you get that set up before you would leave the state for like a trip or a vacation or an extended stay. We've had students in Brazil and in France, and they're able to do their schoolwork with us because they have this VPN set up. So there are ways to do that. And then, of course, a supportive work environment like any other student. You would want to have a supportive environment at home to be successful. This slide is some more traditional things you might not think about for an online school, especially the bottom part of this slide, like folders, pens, pencils, sticky notes. I put those on here because really the brain science tells us that most of us, even young people, our brains retain more information when we're actually writing, like the kinesthetic, moving, writing, circling, highlighting, making notes. So we recommend when you watch the videos from your teachers, the instructional videos, that as if you were sitting in a classroom with a person talking to you, take notes like you would in a regular class that's in person. So it does help your brain retain more information. It also helps to have a comfortable chair and a desk if possible, so you're not just sitting with your laptop on your lap all the time. But if you don't, everyone's situation is different, but having a space where you can close a door and work quietly is nice. During the pandemic, I had to work in the basement next to the furnace when I worked at home because I didn't really have a room that was empty that we could use that wasn't the kitchen table or where the TV was or where there were distractions. So try to really focus on finding a space if possible that's quiet while you're doing your schoolwork. And then when you build your schedule in breaks where you get up and go watch TV or watch videos or go for a walk or work out or walk the dog. Don't just sit at your computer all day because that's not good for you either. And the webcam microphone part on this, your Chromebook has those built in. so you won't need to have a separate webcam or a separate microphone. But I do suggest headphones. Most of you have earbuds probably anyway, but having a way to listen to videos if you're sitting in a Starbucks or someplace where there might be noise so you can concentrate. That's an important piece. Again, most of you probably have some kind of headphones already, but I would definitely recommend those. All right, attendance. It's different than most schools. We take attendance 1 day a week. So teachers post eligibility grades on Thursdays for all their classes. So by Friday morning, you can log in as a parent or guardian and see all of your students' eligibility grades, their current weekly averages, right? Their grade currently, not their final grade, just that at that moment in time, this is the grade they have. If that grade is a 70% on that Thursday, your student is automatically present for attendance the last 5 days. Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and the previous Friday. So 5 school days. If they have less than a 70 when I put the grade in the grade book, then I look and see, did the student do at least 2 of their assignments this week? If the answer is yes, they're also present the last 5 days. So the only way you're marked absent for all 5 days is if you have less than a 70, say in my class, for example, and you haven't turned in at least 2 quality assignments. I don't mean just submitting a blank Google Doc or has 2 words on it, actually doing the assignments, right? Doing 2 of the assignments in my class, completing them successfully, that would count for attendance, okay? Now, parents, guardians, you can always call our school and excuse your student, like any other school, district policy. You might want to do that because district policy is for every excused absence, you have 2 days to make up assignments without losing any points. Because yes, you can turn things in late and have points deducted in our school. So if you missed the day something was due and you weren't excused, your teacher can and probably will deduct points from you as a late assignment. So definitely excuse your student when appropriate. It helps us track attendance, helps protect your student from having points taken off, and lets us know that you weren't in class. Now, of course, being flexible, you can just choose not to do work on a Monday and just not do anything. That's okay. As long as everything is finished by the end of the week when things are due, that's what we care about, and you've done your best work, okay? If you have more questions, you can always ask your teachers about that too. This is the address of our building. We do have a small building we share with the Jeffco Remote Learning Program, that synchronous program I mentioned earlier. We have a couple of classrooms and a meeting space. This is where you'd come pick up your Chromebook from us or come to us if you needed help with the teacher, if you wanted to meet with your counselor in person. We tend to meet in this building for those kinds of meetings. Again, we don't have transportation, and it's not convenient for some of you who might live really far north or really far south or some other part of the state, but at least you know that we do have a physical space. We do have, I mentioned, in-person opportunities for students to get help and support. The weekly support for high school is on Tuesdays. From 10 to 12, we have academic time where not every teacher, but each content area has a teacher who comes to campus on a rotation every Tuesday from 10 to 12, 2 hours for help students who want to come in person. 12 to 1 is sort of social activities, other kinds of activities, some extra learning we might do. We've done things like career panels and art projects and movie time and other kinds of activities. Middle school is a little bit different. All middle school full-time students meet together from 9 to 10:30 in the morning online. They get into breakout rooms, they do learning activities and team building online together. And then from 12 to 2, anyone who wants to come in person can come to our building to do activities with their teachers. We have social activities, learning activities, academic support for middle school 12 to 2 on those Thursdays. Okay. This is just a list of our staff. Again, we're a traditional school. We have all the staff that most schools have: principal, assistant principal, deans, registrars. We have community liaisons. That's Shannon Mitchell and Marissa Mallory. They're the people you're working with for this enrollment process, and they'll continue to be support for you all during the year. They do so much to support our school. Not every school has that position. That's one that really functions well in our online environment, that we need all of their support. Okay. Counseling. If you're full-time in this meeting, Kelly Hyatt will be your counselor for high school. If you're full-time middle school, Susan Milliken is your counselor. You'll hear from them after you complete the enrollment steps They will be sending you a schedule, asking you what electives you might want to take, and trying to figure out what your high school plans might be, or what your plans are for high school or middle school or Warren Tech or college or anything else to help get your schedule created for you. That would happen after the enrollment is complete. We have a social and emotional learning specialist also, Ms. Broberg. She works with students around study skills and other sort of social and emotional support. We have a student advisement group. Students are in small groups for advisement where they're assigned a teacher who connects with them during the school year. She helps design learning activities for those times and those sessions, and she supports students in a wide range of areas. You'll hear from her. This slide is just it's sort of funny, but I always want to remind people we're not robots. In your classes are designed and created by teachers. These are the teachers who create your assignments. They grade your assignments. They give you feedback. It's electronic. It'll be in the system. They don't necessarily talk to you in person, right, with feedback like in a brick and mortar school, but they are working hard every day for all of you. And this is just a snapshot of the people who work for us. Like any other school, it takes all of us to be successful. Students have to do what students do, follow the rules, turn things in on time, commit to working the right amount of hours each week, responding to messages. Families, like you always do, support your student, be there to respond to their needs and support them, monitor their progress, log in and look at their grades, have them show you their grades and their assignments. That's a really important step. Don't have them just tell you, I'm doing fine, no problem. I would definitely take a couple of minutes on a Friday, if you could, or the weekend after we've posted grades on Thursday to check their grade. You can log into Schoology with your own login you use to log into Jeffco's Jeffco Connect or to enroll Jeffco. You can use the same login to actually see everything happening in Schoology for your student in our school. Nothing is hidden from you about your student. And then staff, we do like every other staff would do. We prepare all of our policies and syllabus and grading. We design our courses and classes using Jeffco's approved curriculum. We take attendance and post grades, and we respond to all of your messages, and we reach out and be proactive and try to work together to support students. It can be a change to be in an online school that's asynchronous. You might suddenly feel alone at home. You might like that, but it might feel kind of strange to be sitting at home alone. So we want to make sure that you know there's support for all of our students. And also know that you can reach out students to get more of that support if you need it. Our website, you've probably been there. If you applied, you probably found it, but know that jeffcovirtual.org is a great resource. There's so much there. I wouldn't want you to spend too much time on that just for fun, but when you need information, it's worth looking around to find it because we definitely have a lot on the website. I circled the Meet Our Staff section on this slide because that's where a picture, a bio, and contact info for everybody in our school is located. So there's no reason to not be able to know how to get a hold of a teacher, for example. And actually in every one of your classes, students, there's a folder that has teacher information, the syllabus, how to contact them. All that information is in every single class also. So it might feel confusing at first, like how do I get a hold of my teacher? But everything is in the course and everything's on the website here under Meet Our Staff, okay? This important date slide is sort of out of date now because this was prepared before school started. You can see dates already passed. But on this slide, there is something important there. The only time you would be required to come to campus is for testing. The PSAT, the CMAS, and the SAT have to be done in person. They're done on Chromebooks and computers, but they have to be done in person. The MAP testing in Jeffco we do can be done at home, so that's good. But the other tests have to be in person. And that's not until April next semester. Depending when you're watching this, testing season is April. So it's not anything urgent right now. I'm not going to read all these to you, but take a look at this slide. There's some example of some other opportunities we have in our school. I'll highlight a couple of them. We work with Red Rocks for concurrent enrollment. We offer 2 English classes that can get college credit at no cost and high school credit at the same time, and a psychology class where you can actually get a psychology credit. And those are credits that would transfer to other Colorado colleges. So it is worth looking into it in high school if you're a high school student or thinking about the future of being a high school student at our school. We're also a really good partner for Warren Tech. This gives you flexibility around internships and working at Warren Tech and job shadowing, doing our schoolwork around your Warren Tech schedule Many of our students really like that flexibility. And we also have conferences. We do a spring dance. We do a fall kind of dance kind of activity night. We try to do some social activities each month to give you an opportunity to connect with your fellow students. Because again, in an asynchronous online school, it might feel kind of strange to not have a lot of your student friends around you during the day. You might want that, and that's fine, but some people want to be a little more social, so we try to create some events for you to be social. It's also worth noting here that if you're an athlete, the way the CHSA law works, you can go try out for the sports teams at the neighborhood school where you live. So for example, if you live in the Columbine articulation area, you can go try out for their baseball team or their softball team. Or if you wanted to play sports for a different school than where you live, let's say you wanted to play sports for Chatfield, not Columbine, but you lived in Columbine's area, you can contact the Chatfield athletic director and apply for choice enrollment for sports. We had a student a few years ago, she lived in Conifer, but she wanted to play softball for Wheat Ridge. So she contacted Wheat Ridge and they allowed her to play sports for Wheat Ridge. So you can do those kinds of things for sports and activities. Other things like band, choir, theater, you'd want to contact the school and see if they would allow you to be part of those programs. There's no like state law about those programs. Not unlike sports, it's different than sports. But you want to contact the school to see if you get, and if you wanted to be involved in some of those activities, we just don't have those in an online school. So if you want to be involved in those, you would contact the school of your choice. Social media, if you're on social media, we are. Sometimes it's nice to follow us because we put announcements and news, things that are happening. If you're like most of us, we're so busy to read long emails, you might miss something, but you might be scrolling through some night and on Instagram pops up a Jeffco message from JVA. It might help you remember something. So those are our social media handles that we use. And Jeffco as a district also uses social media to try to get news and information out to families. So it's worth sometimes following those. So what's next? We're almost finished. So what's next is there's two things at the top. All new students complete the Intro to JVA tutorial. Make sure you have that finished. That was sent to you as part of the enrollment process. It's an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the student. Trains you, kind of has you practice using Schoology. It teaches you more about our school. It says some of the same things I said here, but it's the important reminders about what happens in our school and how it functions. And then the other boxes to check is this one. Full-time applicants attend an online enrollment meeting. By watching the video, you've met that requirement once you complete the attendance. Once those two steps are complete, then we will send you an offer to enroll with our school through Enroll Jeffco. You have up to 3 days to accept that offer. If you don't accept it, it expires, which maybe you don't want to come to JVA, that's fine. But if you forgot and it expired and you want to come to JVA, call the school and we can accept for you. But you have to be accepted in Enroll Jeffco to be at our school. So we have to get that figured out. And then once that happens, then we get an email confirmation from us that you're enrolled and you'll be getting a schedule from the counselor, okay? So this is the attendance for today's meeting. This is also going to be sent to you as a link. You obviously can't click on this watching this video, but if you typed in that tiny URL, you then fill out this really quick attendance form. Just asks who watched this, student name, parent guardian name, and if you have any questions for us. That helps us check that box for you for the enrollment step. So please make sure that you complete that attendance form for us today. All right, that's all for today's meeting. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of this, and we're excited to have you joining JVA. Have a great day.